It's a double dose of Supercars E-Series fun this week. Fresh off the back of an awesome celebrity race, we go back into the All-Stars, the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series. And tonight, something totally different as we go back to the States for some oval racing at Charlotte and also visiting Daytona as well. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Warm welcome to Jonathan Simon. Let's check out quickly what our format is for the Arm Roll qualifying show tonight. Oval racing, man, this is crazy.
It's going to be crazy. We've dabbled upon talking about it with supercars over the years. It's going to be an open session around Charlotte with no damage. Then we head back to the damage and another open session around Daytona. The draft here today, Chad, is going to be critical in both sessions, knowing that that could save you up to about half a second to a second in lap time.
Great to have Lando Norris back as well. We've got Matt Charter from Super 2 joining the fun. How are we going to go with these guys? Back down to a 27-car grid tonight.
It's going to be a bit of a lottery, I think, come qualifying. You know, you've got 30 seconds of racetrack to spread around 27 drivers. Come Daytona, if you get that good slipstream coming out of the bus stop chicane, you can gain about half a second to 1 second. And here we see some good shots and a preview about what qualifying could be like today. A lot of contact already.
There's going to be some pretty big tear-ups. It's going to be a very, very tough track to get your head around. And to talk us through our first track of the night being Charlotte on our Logitech track preview, here's Jack LeBrock.
Hi everyone, Jack LeBrock here from Super Cheap Auto Racing. Yeah, pretty cool week for us this time around. We're off to Charlotte Motor Speedway, heading on the oval here, and probably like many others in the supercar field, probably haven't been on an oval before. So it's going to be something very different, and to be honest, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I'll let me show you around this circuit. So start the lap, it's very important to get the best run possible you can to flow that speed. These tyres seem to only really last the one lap here. You can probably get a second out if you get a good tow, but yeah, this first lap's very crucial. So yeah, flat to here the first lap, try and hold as low as possible and just carry as much speed as you can. So you really want to try and not wind too much steering lock into the car, because that washes off a lot of speed. So into this second bank corner, just rolling off the throttle to about 3/4 and then picking it back up, and same thing again, you just try to minimise that steering input to get through that apex without washing off too much speed, and I think it wasn't too bad that lap there. So it's pretty cool. It's very difficult. I think it's going to be a massive challenge for a lot of us guys here. We haven't really done much of it, and myself and Cam doing a bit of a race run earlier today, and it was pretty tough over 35 laps. So looking forward to the challenge. It's going to be a little bit of a laugh, I think, with some of the guys who, like myself, who don't know how to race in an oval, but I'm sure it's going to provide some great entertainment, and I'm really looking forward to the challenge. So enjoy the night, and hope you enjoy the show.
As a special touch, the Tickford cars have donned some big NASCAR numbers on their doors tonight, so watch out for that as well. Some pretty cool liveries. There's the live look as everyone's getting ready to go racing tonight at Charlotte and also Daytona. I'm going to check in with our very first Cooper's Live chat of the night with Team Sydney's Chris Pither. He's ready to go. He's got the Coca-Cola hat on. At the home of the Coca-Cola 600 as well. We've got oval racing tonight. What on earth is going to happen tonight, Chris? We've got no idea.
Mate, it's going to be exciting. It's hard enough as it is just in this practice session to get a lap, and obviously everyone's trying to get a tow, and there's been plenty of big shunts already, but it's going to be exciting.
Strategy-wise, have you figured out how you're going to work this Arm Roll qualifying session? Is it hope for the best, or have you got a plan to try and tee up someone for some slipstreaming?
No strategy planned here yet. I think it's going to be a bit of the roll of the dice, and hopefully you get a bit lucky, because it's a pretty short track and a lot of cars out there, and yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a luck of the draw, to be honest. Everyone's obviously pretty tight as it is around the short circuit, so yeah, I think it should be pretty.
Finally, obviously NASCAR fans always talk about the big one when we go racing on the big speedways. Do you reckon we're going to have a big one tonight?
I think we're guaranteed to have a big one, to be honest. It's a pretty tight circuit, and obviously to get a lap in, you have to be in the slipstream, you have to be close, and it's actually quite difficult when you are in behind a car. You get a lot of aero wash and different things, and it's easy to slide up the track into the fence. So I think we're guaranteed to see a few big ones tonight.
All right, thank you, Chris. Good luck. We might see if we can check in with one of our wildcard drivers as well in Lando Norris. He's been back for a few of these races now already. Lando, welcome. What have we got in store for us tonight, Charlotte and Daytona? This should be a bit of fun.
It is going to be a lot of fun, actually. Especially, I guess, the Charlotte race, something a bit different, going to ovals in a V8 supercar is an interesting combination. So it's going to be good fun. I think, yeah, it's just very different to what we're all used to. So I think it's going to be quite challenging at the same time. But yeah, it's gonna be good fun. And then Daytona, I think, a bit more challenging in terms of back to a road course. Tricky track for this car again, but yeah, some nice overtaking places, some good slipstreaming we can do, so it's going to be a good race.
All right, Armor All qualifying is live. Go get him. Looking forward to seeing Lando Norris. Maybe he's going to try and queue up out there with his Walkinshaw Andretti United teammates in Bryce Ford and Chaz Mostert. This is Charlotte Motor Speedway, and this is something that we've never really seen before. This is going to be completely different. Armor All qualifying on the high banks of Charlotte Motor Speedway is go. And for the next 15 minutes, well, you're going to be learning on the fly with us, I think, tonight.
Supercars has got a lot to learn here. This is a great way to simulate what oval racing will be like, although in virtual conditions. Here we have a good sneak peek at our wildcard Lando Norris and those blue cones where you have to exit throughout today's events. And we watch Will Davison with a new sponsor. Obviously some unfortunate news in the past week for him, and already drivers trying different lines to see what works in quali.
Yeah, the high line, the low line. I saw in your little preview notes this week that if the track temp is cool, you should be the fastest around trying to stick to the bottom of the racetrack. Yeah. We'll have a look at drivers trying to find a slipstream or bounce off the walls like that. Couple quick things to talk about. Hitting the wall, you'll lose a lap time. You won't damage your car, though, because damage is off. Hitting another driver, you'll also lose your lap time, so got to watch out for that.
Which is something that a lot of drivers aren't really used to, having contact in qualifying. So that's going to be something to take note of as we watch Lee Holdsworth, who made the shootout last time at the Circuit of the Americas for the first time. I think he's still got Davison below him, and if you do this during the race, run double file, you will lose up to around half a second a lap, so you've got to be careful. We're already seeing some mid 29 lap times. Anton de Pasquale with a 29.7. That's definitely a draft fuse lap time right there.
This is going to be frantic for the next 12 minutes. There is Anton. He was spotting for Barry Ryan himself, actually, during the celeb race that happened early this week. A couple laps, then straight back into the pits. Even getting in and out of the pits on an oval, completely different to what we are used to seeing in the real world. So hitting your pit lane limit of speed, getting in cleanly, not making contact like that. It's going to be huge tonight. If that happens in a race, it could be a total game changer if you missed the pit entrance.
Well, I don't know how that worked. He vanished for a second and then he popped back up. But we watched Chris Pither, who we just spoke to, give us a great rundown. I thought it was very accurate how qualifying and the race would go today.
So a reminder, we've had 10 qualifying sessions so far, thanks to Armor All. De Pasquale and Van Gisbergen split those 5 apiece. Anton on top at the moment. Surely that form guide doesn't matter at all when we go to a track completely different like we're seeing tonight. Are we going to see a new name step up and potentially take their first Armor All pole of the year?
This is going to be thrilling. 12 minutes, only 2 pole sitters all season. We could see our third most likely. And will it be wildcard Matt Charter here, who drives from Super 2 and jumps up to drive with the big guns for the first time?
That's a pretty big step up for him tonight in the Cavalier Homes Mustang. So great to have Matt Charter joining the fun from Super 2. He's a bit of a veteran in the Super 2 category into his 6th season already. So 29.76. You could barely even look at the timing screen before there's a change and 3 or 4 cars going faster across the finish line. LeBrock Whincup, this is his best qualifying so far this year inside the top 3. Hazelwood 4th. So already seeing some different names popping up. McLaughlin 14th. Van Gisbergen 26th. So some of the bigger drivers in terms of the BP Ultimate points score with some work to do.
Well, Van Gisbergen's crossing the line now and he improves to 3rd. So put that out the window. He's already up there. Now, 2 of our best qualifiers of this year are already in your top 3. Another Red Bull Holden Racing Team driver of Whincup to follow. Now, I've seen some drivers make race pit stops. It's not really, and talking to a lot of the drivers, it's not as quick running a 65-litre fuel tank compared to an empty fuel tank around here. So I'd see drivers escape more than usual, because I think the way Brody Kostecki's developed this setup is that the rear end's very balanced with a high fuel load.
What if they're just trying to simulate what it's going to be like trying to get onto the pit lane during what is essentially a race sort of scenario, because there are so many drivers out there, and hitting that pit entrance correctly could be quite difficult. As Hazelwood crosses over and starting a fast lap this time by in the Brute military grade, number 14, Brad Jones racing car. BJR with 4 entries tonight. If they can work together, is that going to be an advantage?
Well, they should do it now. Look how much clear track there is. I thought 27 drivers spreading out over 30 seconds of racetrack would be impossible. And there's so much clear space. You should see a multitude of cars on the left-hand side exit the pit lane. And there is a multitude of cars. How about that? That won't distract Hazelwood at all. He hugs the bottom. Will this be a quick time? If he picks up the toe from the driver in front, he should get a quick time in here. He's already into 5th.
What about Gary Jacobson, the man tucked up behind him? Went 30.0 for his best time so far. Todd pushes up towards the top of the track. Jacobson tucks in behind him, might be the faster of the two across the start-finish line. Hazelwood, no improvement on his 29.80, goes 30.1. Jacobson, a 30.02, slight improvement, stays outside the top 10. There's a lot of drivers starting to work together. Finding teammates, easier said than done. Had a quick chat to Scott McLaughlin this morning about if he and Fabian were going to try and work together. It's great in theory, he says, but it's very easy to trip over yourself. Just like this in the background.
Talking about Team Penske, we see one of them turned around there.
Escaping straight back into pit lane. Nearly halfway through this session. Anton on top with a buffer of just under a 1/10 of a second.
Do you think it's a surprise that we see Anton and Gizzy at the front here?
It's amazing, isn't it? You go for a completely different set of circumstances tonight, put everyone on an oval, and somehow they still find the form that they had earlier on road courses. Really cool to watch a supercar drive around a big, bold speedway like this one at Charlotte Motor Speedway. For Australian fans, obviously, we've got the Thunderdome, not so much used anymore, but it was actually modelled off Charlotte Motor Speedway. Bob Jane did go over to Daytona and Charlotte before building it, albeit slightly smaller, but does have the same banking at 24 degrees in the corners.
Yeah, Coolman Park obviously has similar banking, 24 degrees. Charlotte has 24 degrees of banking, and that front and back straightaways 5 degrees at Charlotte.
I love this. Homemade rig has been getting bigger and bigger. Gone is the camping chair and a brand new sim, which is a timber Mustang with a real wood.
Oh my God.
This is a race off pit road. This is crazy scenes.
What's going on?
Oh,
this is hilarious.
It's a wicked setup for Rick Kelly. Well done for putting this together, and hopefully we'll get a chance to see a bit more of this later tonight.
What are they doing?
Are they playing games because nobody wants to be first on the track for the slipstream? I'm a little confused myself right now.
This is like... this is very similar to, if you watched Formula One at Monza last year, you know when no one made it to the line, they've got 7 minutes remaining. I'll be glad if they make the line by then at the pace they're going.
I think it was just a huge staring contest. Nobody wanted to blink and get out there first and essentially be the tow truck.
But that was just silly there. I know it's all in a bit of good fun, but if you're taking this series, it was silly because there's going to be no clear track now for a lot of them. There's going to be so much aero wash, especially for the Penrite racing car around here, right behind Jack Smith and the SCT Logistics Commodore, and he's not going to get a quick time in. The tyres only last 1 lap here, and then they give up. They give up lap by lap. They plateau around lap 9 and 10 during the race to a stagnant 1 second off the pace here. They'll be doing 31s during the race without the draft, and have a look at this. This is no chance right now for the Penrite racing car to set a good time.
It's a fine line between having some help from the slipstream and then just suffering through the push of the aero wash right now, and that's a fairly big lift for Jack Smith going through turn 4 onto the quad oval. He's got the Penrite car inside. A couple of big talking points tonight. Oh, as Jack rifles off the fence and throws this lap time out. Field of view, a lot of drivers will change their field of view tonight. Have a chance to touch on that throughout the night tonight in the broadcast as well. And drivers with 3 screens like Lando Norris will have greater peripheral vision and maybe will be able to avoid getting into accidents tonight.
And the more experienced drivers too, like Norris, won't be too fussed of that field of view. If you're definitely new to oval racing, it's something you need to touch up upon and definitely have the best field of vision of everybody around you, because you don't want to be tripping over other people.
That was a great run for Lando, by the way. He moves up to second, knocks LeBrock down to third. So Lando now within a couple hundredths of a second. So Di Pasquale, Morris, LeBrock, the top three. Van Gisbergen, Most at the 5. Whincup, his best performance in qualifying, thanks to Armorall so far this season. Ditto that Todd Hazelwood, who sits 7th. Holdsworth, 8th. Winterbottom, 9th. Reynolds, 10th. That's your top 10 at the moment. So for Dave Reynolds, that'll be one of his best Armorall qualifying performances of the season as well. 13th, his best on 2 occasions so far. But still a long, long way to go. Here goes Bryce Forward.
I'm very surprised with Scott McLaughlin right now, as he's all the way down outside the top 20, right behind his teammate Fabian Coulthard. That's our championship leader, and he's had so much oval experience too.
So the Walkinshaw Andretti United cars trying to work together.
It's not quick enough. Too much lifting, especially in these temperatures. You can drive full throttle the entire first lap. It's the quickest way to head around the racetrack.
Mostert moves to the inside. 29.87, a hundredth of a second down on his best so far. Gets the full slingshot engage from Bryce Forward and swings on by at turn 1. Not too much chopping and changing at the top. Anton's time prevails at 29.76. Lando, 29.79. Huge lift for Bryce Forward, and a car checked up on the apron as well. These guys head back to the pits, shed a little bit more fuel load off, and throw some more tyres at it, ready to go. A little bit of contact with the Matt Stone car getting turned around on entry as well. So looking further down the order, Fabian Coulthard 20th, Scott McLaughlin 21st. So both of the Shell V-Power cars with a bit of work to do.
This is so interesting for the championship right now. Scott McLaughlin has led this championship, fascinating stat for you, since round 1, lap 1, turn 4.
He has been the man to beat in terms of the championship sense, but that gap has been getting smaller and smaller on the BP Ultimate point score. Now Shane Van Gisbergen is close. Quick rundown for the format tonight. No reverse grid race. Qualifying will set the grid for the first race of the night. We then move over to Daytona and the Roval. That'll set the grid for the second race of the night. And then it's a combination of points for the third and final race. So if you qualify poorly here and then have a bad first race of the night, it could carry on across through race 3 as well. So for McLaughlin, the next 2 minutes, 58 seconds, very, very important. Got the concentration face on. Let's ride on board with him. 6th gear. The cars are far enough to just be able to give him a tow. A little bit of a lift, so not too much aero wash up ahead. And watch the speed climb with so much of a slipstream down the back straight. Fastest part of the track is the entrance, and he's been balked by Alex Davison, but he gets just to the inside in time. Did he lose time? His best time of the night is a 30.09. He's outside the top 20. McLaughlin finds a minor improvement, but it's not enough.
He's going to bump draft Macaulay Jones to go quicker. He's in a not give a damn mood. That's the best euphemism I could come up with there. And
well, by touching Macaulay Jones' car as well, he's given himself an incident point, essentially.
Yeah.
Counted the lap out, but also counted Macaulay's out as well.
He would be, yeah. Don't mention that, Chad. It's going to get him in trouble.
Well, you can just literally drive around, knocking into people and taking their laps away from him.
And Chad, look at the gaps from first to at least 23rd. Less than 0.4 of a second separating our field. That's normally the gap between pole and second. Yeah. And again, we've got another pit exit party at the exit here. Remember, it's a 30-second lap time. 29 seconds is provisional pole for the moment. There's a minute 30 left in the session. We know the tires give up after one good lap. This could be the final good run we see for the day. I'm not even going to bother writing down how many drivers are on this lap, because I'll be here until the Daytona session begins.
You bring up a good point. How many drivers are covered by mere tenths at the moment? 19 cars covered by 1 second at the Glen was the most we've had inside 1 second. You've got to go a lot further down the list right now to cover 1 whole second of cars. practically the entire field covered by half a second at the moment. It is so competitive.
What a cracking shot.
Oops, and trouble on the backstretch, right in front of the big 60-metre board. And it's going to take multiple cars out. That's enormous.
Oh,
Absolutely huge.
he's still spinning.
That was a huge, huge crash. And finally, the NTI car comes to a stop in turn 3. Lando Norris involved and might not have time to get back out and set another lap because the best of the tyre will be gone as well.
Well, that's interesting. Scott McLaughlin's in the pits and his day is done. You won't start greater than 19th. It's about the rest of the bunch. Norris won't be out there either. How about ADP? How about Andre Heimgartner here during the week? He was practicing, putting in some work, and let's see if it pays off. This will be his... He might be able to sneak across the line for a second lap, but let's see where this puts him.
Rick Kelly sits 14th at the moment. So these guys are finding some speed. Is there any improvement left late in the session? Heimgartner, 18th. Checkered flag flying now. Rick Kelly sits 14th. That would be a substantial improvement. His best of the season so far in Armor All qualifying is 20th. Checkered flag is out. Some people completing a lap. Jack Smith goes to 14th. That's a great lap. That's his best of the season so far. Whincup also inside the 10. Macaulay Jones jumping up a few spots late on.
Oh, my God.
There's Barney the flagman. We'll give Barney a big shout out from down under.
They're a rotator cuff doing it like that.
I tell you,
Relax, mate.
He's an enthusiastic flag waver. He's going to be waving the green flag later today. And that brings to an end Armor All qualifying.
Oh, yes. Here
and
we go.
This was huge. So,
Bang, where is it?
it started with, wow. It started with one of the Walkinshaw Andretti United cars and ended with absolute chaos. I don't even know what you call that. That was higher than Mick Doohan got during the celebrity race on Monday night. Is that a new record? That was above the 24-metre screen that they've got on the backstretch. So I'll let you figure that one out. Oh, man, I don't believe this. A 6th pole of the season for Anton De Pasquale. And he does it on an oval in Armor All qualifying. That is a huge effort. It pays because he does have Brody Kostecki as his spotter, who has raced on ovals before. So there's definitely some justice there. Lando Norris 2nd, Jack Le Brocq 3rd, best quali for him. Shane Van Gisbergen 4th. Jamie Whincup picks up his best Armor All qualifying award, and so does Dave Reynolds inside the 10. Chris Pitho wraps up the field. Everyone covered by not a lot. Here is your Armor All pole man tonight, Anton De Pasquale. Doesn't matter if it's 6Ks of Bathurst. Doesn't matter if it's here around the high banks of Charlotte. He's always at the front. And it's Anton De Pasquale who has picked up the Armor All pole award tonight in a very, very close Armor All qualifying session, just edging out Lando Norris. So well done to the Penrite Racing team. I know exactly how serious they've been taking this. Had a look inside that the other night for the celebrity race. Well, don't go anywhere because we're going to Daytona after this. Florida is calling and we're going to go Armor All qualifying on the Roval, so don't go anywhere.
You can support your favourite team or driver during the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Purchase your Supercars Championship or team merchandise today. Head to supercars.com/merch. Congratulations to this week's Local Legends winner. You could also win weekly prizes across the Supercars All-Stars E-Series, including your own Local Legends simulator valued at over $10,000. To enter, share a photo holding a Local Legends pack on your Instagram or the Local Legends Facebook page with the hashtag #WinWithLocalLegends to go into the draw to win.
This is Armour All qualifying for the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series, live and exclusive to Fox Sports tonight. Jess and the gang will be picking up from 7 p.m. tonight. 3 races, and including the Oval. We've just seen Charlotte. It was a lot of fun. We're just about to check in with Daytona and the Roval. If you've just joined us, it's Anton Di Pasquale who has picked up the Armour All pole tonight. And it's time to check in with Anton. Not too far away from where we're sitting in Melbourne tonight. That was a lovely, lovely lap. But first, Anton, I want to talk about the Celebrity E-Race. You had the chance to spot for Barry Ryan. Have the ears recovered yet?
Yeah, it was good. Baz did a pretty good job. He was one of the fast dudes, and we had a good laugh. It's cool to chuck the boss in the driver's seat, and then now, you know, when things happen on track, I can refer back to that hopefully as a bit of an excuse maybe.
Hey, you've got a spotter tonight who has a bit of oval experience, and Brody Kostecki. He's also the guy who sets up these cars. Was that an advantage in taking that Armour All pole tonight?
Yeah, man, I think the track's basically flat out, so a lot of luck involved. I just got lucky on the first run. I got a bit of a 6-car tow, and then the track seemed a bit quicker at the start too. So I don't know, just a bit of luck. I was a bit worried about that collie because you never know what's going to happen. So it's good. It's obviously good handy to have Bush in here because he's known for his oval stuff, and I've watched him do a bit of road to pro stuff on iRacing, so it's good.
Your main rival is always Shane Van Gisbergen, it seems to be in this series. He has real-life experience at Daytona on the Roval. Does that give him an advantage tonight?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. I've done a few laps here now too. But I think it's, again, going to come down to a bit of a tow. This straight is, you know, just as long probably as Charlotte. So if you time it well and get a bit lucky, you might get a sneaky lap in. But we'll see what we got.
All right, we'll let you get your race face on. Thanks for the chat.
You.
This is a really, really cool circuit. The Daytona Road course has been around for many, many years. It's featured with the Rolex Daytona 24-hour, which was won this year by Chaz Mostert in his class. Shane Van Gisbergen's raced there a bunch of times. The Daytona 200 happens here, which is a motorcycle race, which is completely and utterly crazy, if you ask me, riding a motorcycle around here. Barry Sheen certainly found that out the hard way. But so much history of this incredible racetrack. And looking forward to seeing Supercars try their hand tonight as we get set to go racing on 2 occasions tonight. A good chance to check in with Will Davison as well in what has been a fairly tumultuous week. Will, firstly, commiserations for losing the real life ride, but great to see you back on board with Doric tonight.
Hey. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, this is all going on here. I've just absolutely spaced McLaughlin's lap here.
We're watching it on a separate screen, and he's giving you some payback. Are you even now?
Oh, dear. So there's going to be a lot of slipstreaming here tonight around the banking. It's like half a second a lap, if not more. So let's try to set themselves up. And I have one eye in the mirror and chatting to you guys. So anyway, Scotty got me back there. But yeah, it's been a really tough week, very interesting one. And now, yeah, it's good to have a bit of fun tonight. I haven't prepped like normal, like the past 4 weeks. I've been doing a lot of laps, but I've done none this week, so tonight could be interesting.
It's one of the beauties of the E-Series, isn't it? It's such a great distraction from the real-life problems going on at the moment for everyone that we can just all chill out on a Wednesday night and watch some video gaming, essentially, and simulations like we are.
Yeah, exactly right. I think everyone's getting better, but everyone's, I think, starting to try and enjoy it a bit more now. Like, it is what it is. Everyone takes it serious. Everyone's competitive, but you just got to have fun. I mean, I think it's fantastic. The celebrity race the other night, it was the first time I sat on the couch and had a laugh at it all. I thought it was brilliant, and obviously the level's pretty high with it. The guys out here at the moment, and you know the racing's been mega, and you got to laugh at the big shunts and some of the silliness going on.
Nice work, mate. Thanks for the chat. Car looks cool. Well done to Tom and the crew from Doric for getting that together for you. Best of luck tonight. I loved Rihanna's Twitter account on Monday. She had tears watching the crash between Mick Doohan and Neil Crompton. There's the live look. Everyone's ready to go. Love how professional everyone's setup has become. Had a great chat to Greg Murphy this week, who was part of the e-race on Monday night. He's just blown away at how professional everyone's been able to take this series so far.
Yeah, good, great to see Murph there. I'm with him. 5 minutes. Yeah, I feel sorry for you, Murph. And here we go. I can't wait for this shot. This is going to be a multitude of 27 cars coming out of the pit lane at the same time. You get a good shot at the narrow pit exit
Very
here
narrow.
At the Daytona part oval, part road course, officially known as a roval.
There's Fabian Coulthard ready to go tonight. A few drivers on the grid have real-world experience here, like we mentioned, Chaz Mostert, Shane Van Gisbergen. There's good news. Zane Goddard has landed from his giant crash down the back straight of Charlotte, so that's a good sign.
Quick flight.
Yep.
Head from North Carolina to Florida.
Gotten a chance to do some laps with Dave Reynolds on Monday night around the Roval after the celebrity race, and John Stephenson, who's very quick in a simulator, I might add, picked up a race win on Monday. There's Matt Charter live from Albury. Great to have Matty Charter running a Logitech wheel and Fanatec load cell pedals tonight. Todd Hazelwood, very sweet setup for Todd. And that's a hybrid sim that he's running on.
No, don't do that,
there we
Todd.
go. Everyone just saw that, Todd. Finish it up. The world is watching, Todd, and I get the feeling the world is going to let you know about that one a little bit later on. Super Mario, Macaulay Jones. Great having Brad Jones a part of the action on Monday night as well. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, here we go with Armour All qualifying. This is going to be a lot of fun. We've got 20 minutes, so 5 extra minutes. We now have damage turned back on, so you've got to worry about that for the remainder of this session, because there are, particularly turn 1, you can find a little bit of trouble down there. Not too many walls that you can hit out there, maybe other cars getting into them, but unlike what we saw at Charlotte, you can lose a lap here, particularly through the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, it's probably the only part of the racetrack you need to be careful about cutting the track. You want to gain as much time because there's about a 20-second full throttle zone up to the start-finish line here at Daytona. Have a look at the banking around here. This circuit built 60 years ago, and it includes 31 degrees of banking through the corners, different to the 24 degrees we had at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And braking from 6th gear, 300 kilometers an hour, and trailing the brakes into turn 1. He's already got traffic here, the Brad Jones Racing driver, and that's going to be a story of today. The traction coming out of 1. There's minimal grip here at Daytona, and he's already been the lap. He's given
behind the tyre wall. I didn't even know you could do that.
That's a first.
At the International Horseshoe. The tyre wall doesn't do its job when it's a couple feet off the wall like that. So we'll have to pick up some action elsewhere with the Shell V-Power team. Fabian Coulthard. Not their qualifying session at Charlotte, which is the home track to the Penske Corporation as well. So hopefully we're going to see Fabian and Scotty, for their sake, a little higher up the order. That's going to be a quick exit back to the lane. Matt Charter on top. How about that for Matty? It's only a 2:20 at the moment, which is going to be about 40 seconds too slow.
I think that's because his pit box was behind the start-finish line, so he's registered a lap. That's his out lap there at 2 minutes 20. So that's unofficial, obviously. That won't count.
That's right. Just take a quick little screenshot of that if you're Matt Charter.
Bryce Forward said that at Spa. Quick screenshot while you're at P1. And here's Rick Kelly in his brand new awesome sim rig.
So, sorry, a few things that I wanted to mention about this sim rig. One, that's an actual supercar rear wing tick. That's hilarious. Well done. He's also slipstreaming here with Andre Heimgartner.
It looks like Mario Kart, by the way.
It does look a little bit like an Aussie racing car as well. He's got the PC under the bonnet. I love that. What a great touch that is. The engine, essentially, for his Mustang, and it's home built out of timber as well. So well done. He's got a supercar shifter. So he's actually made the shift from paddles to an actual shifter tonight, which is going to be quite a big change for Rick Kelly.
Which I think is a good thing to do with racing, hopefully should be coming up soon in the next month or two, officially. It's a good chance for him to get in the sort of rhythm of racing in the real world rather than use the paddles on the sim. We're already seeing some quick times coming onto the board. Chaz Mostert, a mid-42. That's a quick time. We were expecting pole to be in at least the low 42s or high 41s. Now, the difference with this session compared to Charlotte is that you will see almost every driver make race pit stops. You can gain upwards of half a second with a lighter fuel load compared to the 65 litres you use in qualifying. This has the highest fuel per I want to say per the race or per distance, you use so much fuel around here. By the end of this qualifying session, Chad, you'll almost run out of fuel. You have about 10 litres left. So not only can you gain half a second from that, but then another half a second from a brilliantly timed slipstream here on these next 2 straights. And this is what, this is exactly what the drivers will be looking for. A couple of lap cars out of the way, just some traffic getting out of the way there.
So Mostert first, McLaughlin has jumped to second, De Pasquale third, Norris fourth. So we're finding some familiar names now back up the top. Macaulay Jones. Cool drive entry, working his way through the infield, back onto the backstretch. You want to brake somewhere down near the big number 2 braking marker, which is on the right-hand side, about 290 kilometres per hour. You need to just be perfect through that bus stop chicane to not pick up or not to have the lap taken away from you for shortcutting too much through there.
David Reynolds has taught you too well.
Yes.
You know this track more than some of the drivers now after your Monday night experience. That is not a good way to drive around the track. That'll delete your lap time. That'll delete your lap time too, heading into the wall for Macaulay Jones. So that's the second time he'll have to pull back into the pit lane. You can run wide here through turn 1, but you can lose upwards of a second doing that. And we see for Jay Kostecki, he'll have to pull out and end his lap here. Here we watch Shane Van Gisbergen, who's been by far the most informed driver along with Anton De Pasquale. He's got a lap time to set. He's yet to register one. It's going to be a cracking session yet again. This is going to be, I don't want to say a lottery of a round, but we could see a very topsy-turvy round here for the championship. It could swing someone's way and then swing away from somebody else.
Gary Jacobson picked up a podium recently in the E-Series and looking pretty quick here. He sits 6th with a 1:43.1. That's a really nice lap time. We're going to dip into the 41s though. We'd need a pretty big toe onto the front straight to make that work. We have seen teammates working together in Armour All qualifying tonight more than any other round so far. SVG on his lonesome at the moment with the big white wheels. Let's watch him go through the bus stop chicane. Hard on the brakes, 3rd gear, clip the curbs. Gonna be perfect through there to not lose your lap.
He gets the front end stuck into the racetrack nice and cleanly there. This is a great run for Shane Van Gisbergen. And now to end his lap. He's looking good through the sectors. I'm not sure if he'll pick up a draft here. It's a bit difficult to see. I think he's too far back here to pick up a valuable draft potentially. I take that back, actually. He could gain a 10th or 2 across the start-finish line. Let's see what happens here for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team driver. Across the line he goes.
Wow.
And into provisional pole.
Was that Scott Pye that he caught right at the end of the lap and was just enough to find the precious few hundredths? It's actually quite interesting, this. It's not just teammates working together. On occasion, it can also be drivers who are mates. I know that sounds like a funny thing to say, not actually teammates, but real life mates. And for Scott Pye and Shane Van Gisbergen, they're pretty close buddies, working together to try and get that lap. Now, that could have been completely luck that he found Scott Pye out there. Got to say, their Twitch form on the debrief was quite classic last week. That went until the early hours of the morning when they had some of the celebrity drivers hop on for a chat from Monday night. They had Steve Johnson on for 3 or 4 hours. Lando Norris checked in. So well done to Scott taking the initiative to create something new. He's also been doing a bit of dirt rally this week as well.
I was about to say that. It's very tough rallying. One of the toughest sports you can do in the world of motorsport.
Yeah.
All the pace notes.
Had a crack at the World Series Sprint Car Series this week as well. So they're branching out and trying some different stuff. There is Scotty.
This is a lot of traffic right now. Obviously, these are all out laps for the moment. Scott Pye is, where is he now? He's yet to register a lap time, so he's there at the bottom of our timing screen. So this is an important next few minutes. 10 minutes left in this session. Obviously damage enabled, so they can't just smack off into the wall and expect the cars to be okay. And there's an airport around the racetrack. Look out for this in iRacing. You'll see planes taking off today. No social distancing or flight laws required for them. And the other bright news about this racetrack is iRacing actually laser scanned the original Daytona in 2008. And then when the resurfacing occurred in 2010 and the bus stop chicane was changed, this is the version we're using today that was laser scanned yet again. So 2 versions of Daytona are available on iRacing, and this is the current one that you're seeing at the moment.
Todd Hazelwood, 1:43.6 that last time by, so 800ths off his best lap of the session. Never borrow a pair of gloves off Todd Hazelwood. That's what we've learned tonight. But he's also a very, very quick driver. Qualified inside the top 10 earlier tonight. Down into the International Horseshoe, as that corner is known as.
It's also turn number 1 for rallycross around here. Red Bull Global Rallycross visited here for a couple of years.
This can't be a coincidence. These two working together tonight. I'm sure there'll be plenty about this on the debrief later.
I'm immature. I would have taken him out by now. But that's just me.
So the DeWalt car is tucked in behind Shane Van Gisbergen. This is a fast left-hander, 4th or 5th gear, clip the curb, back down to 2nd for another one of these 2nd gear hairpins, of which there are many. And everyone's following themselves wide.
I don't see how this can be a quick lap time for either of them with all the dirty air they pick up. They'll have to make up for it here on these next 2 straights. Gizzy's, I think, already fed up with the traffic from Jake Kostecki. He's lost a couple of tenths here. He'll make up for it with the draft. We'll see if this is quick enough right now. At least he'll drag along Scott Pye with him, who's, as we said, yet to register a lap time.
It was a 15.1 purple sector for SVG in the first sector, so very, very quick. No improvement to sector 2. Kostecki lets the boys go.
And did he touch the wall there? That could have deleted the lap time, so we'll keep track of that. That's awfully close for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team driver. And he's got a couple of... So that's a very odd strategy. We've had a couple of drivers cut the chicane, and now that's going to allow Gizzy a 2nd run at the draft. I tell you what, if it's legal, it's legal. But this is going to help Gizzy possibly into a 41 lap time right now. Double slipstream.
He's got a monstrous toe all the way to the start-finish line. 42.41, and improves on that number 1 time. He now has it by over a 1/10 of a second, and there was plenty of foxing going on out there on that lap. Scott Pye followed him all the way to 4th, so those two working together, no doubt about it. Van Gisbergen 1st, Scott Pye 4th, and not teammates, but certainly working together to find themselves further up the grid, and that would be Scott Pye's best Armour All qualifying performance of the year. Only twice he's been inside the top 10.
Very ingenuitive, the strategy. I like it. It's very funny too to watch, and it almost worked out. You know, if he didn't have the lockup and some other issues in the dirty air, it could be worth a lot more time, but it's whether you can make up for the time you lose in the corners. This next left-hander, by the way, you'll see a couple of drivers here upshift into 5th. Some drivers like to upshift early, other drivers like to ride 4th. It depends how quick you are. And we watched Bryce Forward in the Mobile 1 Middies entry. And this is how I know advertising works well, Chad. I drove past a Middies store the other day and straight away thought of Bryce Forward.
The fact that they're bright pink also helps.
Yeah,
striking.
Didn't help when I had to stop for the red light, but there you go.
So Van Gisbergen's time is going to be pretty hard to beat here. He's cleared out by over a 1/10 from Anton De Pasquale. And their dominance in Armour All qualifying continues. This will be 12 out of 12 for SVG and ADP. Here's Alex Davison now. How fickle the supercar world can be sometimes. At the beginning of the year, Alex didn't have a drive and his brother Will did, and now halfway, not even halfway through the year, it's completely turned in the other direction. Things can move very, very quickly.
Really hope we get to see Will Davison on the grid when we get back to real racing. He deserves it. And his brother here, his older brother, who's been off the pace a little bit in the E-Series, but credit to him, he has improved gradually. He's been under the radar, and he's going to come across the start-finish line right now and improve to P22 right ahead of Macaulay Jones. Now remember, grid position here is still critical. Obviously, it determines the grid for our 2nd of 3 races this evening. And as Chad mentioned earlier in the coverage, it'll also, the 2 results of our first 2 races will determine the grid for our final race of the evening. Here we watch a few of the drivers on their runs. Is this Cam Waters on screen? I see.
It is. Loving the big numbers on the Tickford cars tonight. A lot of Tickford cars here working together. So the Monster Energy car.
So the cutoff, like we said, a low 42 will be pole, 41 will be very optimistic. If you're in the 43s, you should be outside the top 10, and that's predicted perfectly There's a couple of surprises here in your top 10 position. Scott Pye, that'll be his best qualifying performance of the season, as we discussed. Lee Holdsworth qualified a little better at Coda. Gary Jacobson up into 9th, qualified well at Phillip Island, so no surprise from him. But for Frosty in 10th and David Reynolds right behind, I don't want to say those are surprising, but it will be series best for them so far in our virtual Supercars E-Series.
Here's Chaz Mostert, Mobil 1 Appliances Online, number 25. He and Bryce Ford were pretty close together as they went to start that lap. Turn 1 is very, very difficult here as Chaz brings it into the pits. I haven't seen too many drivers actually drive the thing into pit lane in this session. They've just been escaping and finding the quick way in like that.
Now, that's, as I said, that's very odd because with the lighter fuel load, you can gain so much time. But I think they just want to get more laps in. And it's sometimes as a driver, you want to stay in rhythm. The tyres only last a lap here. They actually give up towards the end of the lap. And you notice it at turn 1. You begin your second lap and the drivers already begin to say, hey, I'm losing already 2-3 tenths heading into the first corner. This is a lot of traffic. This reminds me of our supercar sessions. This is exactly like the real thing in a sense.
This is wild. A lot of drivers on outlaps trying to find their own little piece of Daytona at the moment. And Anton weaving his way through. Had shown some green sectors early on, but there might have just been a little bit too much traffic for Anton De Pasquale through the mid part of that infield. Trying to shortcut as much of that bus stop as possible. And for Brody Kostecki, he's going to take on much more of a traditional spotter role tonight for Anton, particularly at Charlotte. Replay time. Thanks to BP Ultimate.
Oh no.
And this looks pretty big. Oh, someone upside down. Is that a Walkinshaw car sliding upside down into the infield? It might be Lando.
Can't see. Well, here we go. Teamwork back at it again. 2 Penrite racing cars. We can see them. And De Pasquale will pull off the racetrack. He doesn't improve to provisional pole, although that was his personal best lap time, Chad, a 42.5.
But Reynolds did a 43.1 from Dave Reynolds. Nice lap. So both Penrite cars inside the top 10 for the first time this season as Cam Waters skittles the cones down on the infield.
Bad luck to the witches' hats.
Yep.
And there you go. Those will reset on iRacing, so the next time you see them, they'll all be there, which will be hilarious. As we watch McLaren Formula 1 star Lando Norris, who's representing Walkinshaw Andretti United. His team boss, Zach Brown, was actually very quick, very impressive. Not to degrade Zach Brown, but for a team boss who has to spend a lot of his time managing millions of dollars, he's got very good speed up his hand.
Yeah, well, he actually had quite a storied racing career before he turned his eye to business. Even made it as far as doing some champ car testing and made it into Indy Lights. Arrow Electronics on the doors for the Mobil 1 Arrow Walkinshaw Andretti United car. Zach Brown has a podium at Le Mans as well.
Oh, really?
GT2. So
I knew about the other stuff. I didn't know about the podium.
So it's pretty cool, eh? And showed that speed the other night going toe-to-toe with Mick Doohan and those guys.
Well, you're a good commentator, Chad. You did your research on the celebrity race.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun learning about all kinds of different sports stars, from snowboarders to sailors. We had everything mixed in there. John Stephenson and Scott Petter picked up the wins.
Yep.
Stephenson hopped on for a few laps with us here on Monday night, working with Dave Reynolds. He was trying to get into the 46s to give you a bit of an idea of where his lap speed was.
Yeah, these guys are so quick, the real deal here. These are the best in Australia and New Zealand.
Dan Reardon, did you catch his speed the other night? He was doing 203s at Mount Panorama.
Very quick. That would have put him around the top
20th, yeah.
20th around the grid, top 20 for sure if he was racing in round 3. We do visit Bathurst, or we hope to do for the final round in our E-Series, and the real world too. Now the session's coming down to a close here, just over a minute. Scott McLaughlin in 4th. He's been 3rd in our previous 4 qualifying sessions, bar Charlotte, coming into this round. So he's got to improve here to climb onto the front row. And have a look at this, a lot of slipstreaming going on. This will be the final run for all these drivers you see on screen.
Again, trying to find that fine line between having a slipstream and then washing out with that aero effect. Awkward time to come out of the pits for Mark Winterbottom. He does his best to try and park the car over. And the International Horseshoe, there goes Lee Holdsworth. might have just been that awkward point where Mark Winterbottom came out of the pits.
And I don't see a reason for Frosty to come out of the pits. He won't make it in time for another lap, so he won't start any greater than 12th. Norris has pulled the pin on his lap. 6th will be the greatest he will start for race 22. McLaughlin in the pits as well. He remains in 4th. Here's a replay of what happened. Did this ruin McLaughlin's lap? And it did.
Frustration. And at that point, it was too late to press escape and go again. So he's done. Now, Anton De Pasquale did go quick through the second sector. But was that him backing off the lap? Both of the Penrite cars have called it off.
Yeah, okay. So a purple sector for De Pasquale. Interesting to see what's happened there. We know Winterbottom here in the Irwin Tools Commodore is not on a hot run. He's on an outlap here. And everybody's pulling the pin on their lap right now. Well, that's one way to get around the racetrack, Frosty. The time's to 0. I appreciate the strategy, though.
Yep.
I think the session might be done because only Chaz Mostert can improve. He's also pulled the car into the pit lane. This is a bizarre end to the session.
Yeah, Chaz Mostert was involved down there at turn 3. There's Barney again, giving it his all. He's going to need shoulder surgery by the end of the week.
Torn labour.
Will Davison still on track, and the Doric Racing number 23. What's Will got left late in the session? He's still on it.
Good sector time so far for him. Different colours. I missed the Milwaukee Racing entry.
He might have backed out of that one anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a goner, and it's Shane Van Gisbergen then. 6 and 6 for Anton De Pasquale and Shane Van Gisbergen in Armor All qualifying. Chaz Mostert, that is a great lap from Chaz, one of his best qualifying performances of the year. Actually matches his front row qualifying at Barcelona. Scott McLaughlin couldn't quite get that lap in late with all the carnage at the International Horseshoe. Matt Charter, great to have him along for the night. He's in 20th, our other wildcard Lando Norris. 6th quickest in this session. And Jack Smith struggling to get a lap in there on a very difficult circuit. He'll be starting from 26th position. Jamie Whincup loving the ovals, but couldn't quite continue that speed over to the Roval. So there you go, 26 drivers getting a lap in. Jake Kostecki, the only driver to not qualify a lap in that session. Here's your Armor All Pole Award, and we're going to give it once again to Shane Van Gisbergen. 4 times he's competed here at Daytona in the 24-hour. And second in 2015, his best result as well. And it was all about using the slipstreaming, using the gamesmanship that we know Shane Van Gisbergen is so famous for to put that lap together, and working with an unusual buddy in Scott Pye to try and maybe make the most of the slipstream going around the top. So maybe have a bit of a chance here, Jonathan, to pick your brains as to how he managed to deliver this lap and exactly what tactics he was employing to get this around as quick as he could. Turn 1, very difficult entrance off the banking.
So he's poked the nose out of the dirty air there, that's brilliant tactics. This has to be scripted. Very easy to lose the rear end through here. And then the braking zone through the International Horseshoe. You want to trail the brakes into the corner. And this is an egg and spoon race driving this car right now. You want to be quick enough to not drop the egg on the floor. And he's got a lot of wheel spin right now. Have a listen to him through this next complex.
Flat 4th gear.
So he doesn't upshift to 5th. We've had a couple of drivers upshift late, some of them upshift before the corner. He rides 4th gear, and this is a lot of dirty air. I don't think the draft at the moment, Chad, has picked him up that much time. I think he would have scored pole without the draft.
Oh, so he really relied on Zane Goddard to continue that speed through the infield. I remember Zane moving out of the way just in time for Shea to be able to get a draft. So tucked in nicely behind him. About to grab top gear. Up towards 290. Now watch on the right-hand side for the brake markers. You go past the 2 and then down onto the brakes.
And watch the driver.
Thank you very much, Zane.
So Zane's going to pop up back in your screens in about 5 seconds' time. Don't touch any of the grass through here. Get on the throttle early. You want to turn these 4 corners into 1 corner. And there they are back on screen, and a double slipstream to end this lap.
Shane Van Gisbergen owes Zane Goddard a couple of beers for that one. Might have to ask him about that in the Cooper's live chat, because he gave him an almighty tow down one half of the speedway and then replicated that on the other side of the speedway. And on top of that was that Whincup, who also dropped in as well to give him a double tow to the checkered flag. That worked out absolutely perfectly. Well done, Shane Van Gisbergen. It's an Armor All pole, and we'll chat with him now in our Cooper's live chat to just dissect exactly how we got that one done. He's over in New Zealand, still hasn't made it back over from Auckland. But Shane Van Gisbergen is your pole man tonight. Shane, a lot of help went into making that one stick. Cooper's Live chat time. Congratulations on getting the pole.
Yeah, hey guys, that was pretty good. Had a few mates there, which obviously helped.
Yeah.
So we were trying to get our best laps, and we all got in the top 10. So Jake gave me an awesome tow there, and repaid him on the last lap, and he snuck up to 8th. But yeah, that's awesome.
That was a really interesting session. What sort of tactics can we expect now in racing? Are we going to find the same guys like you and Scott Pye working together?
Oh, no, in racing, it'll just be a free-for-all, particularly that oval is going to be crazy. So we just got to try to stay out of trouble and 3 good races with no mistakes and try and keep clawing back the points. But Scotty's definitely up there and he's an awesome racer. So it's going to be a bit of fun.
Have you had much of a chance to do much racing around Charlotte on iRacing yet? What are we expecting tonight?
It can't be that hard. It's just 2 left-hand corners. But I think it'll be a big pack race. You obviously got Lando in there, who's got massive lag as well, being on the other side of the world. So it's going to be pretty interesting racing him, but should be a lot of fun.
All right, well done. I'm looking forward to the debrief later tonight. That's been a lot of fun as well. You are the pole man tonight, Shane Van Gisbergen, and there is everyone getting set for a huge night. Well done to SVG. So remember, we've got 3 races tonight. First up, Charlotte. It's an oval. There is a compulsory pit stop where we see safety cars. Damage is off. Let's just start with that one. What are we going to see? Pack racing, Shane Van Gisbergen's estimation.
There could be a lot of luck involved, a lot of lottery. We know oval racing. Who knows if there's a Vodafone safety car intervention, or as you would call it in the US, the pace car. So we don't know. Does it officially change to the Vodafone pace car now for this round? So that's something to look out for. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be interesting, and it could decide potentially the championship going into our final 3 rounds. Not officially, but give momentum to one of our 3 or top 5 drivers in the standings.
Particularly with McLaughlin having a bit of a tough run in that first qualifying session. So no reverse grid race. So the results from race 1 and 2 are combined for the points for the race 3 grid. So with Scotty having potentially a tough first race, that might affect him later on. The Roval, that's going to be highly entertaining. What did we learn from that qualifying session that may carry through to the race today?
Well, slipstreaming so important. We could see a drag race finish across the finish line. And I've Googled and YouTubed a lot of sim racing events over the past few weeks, and a lot of them end in a drag race to the start-finish line. So look out for that today. It could go down to a 1/10 of a second between Victor and P2.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to be first out of that bus stop chicane. That could be the worst spot to be sitting. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got Anton Di Pasquale and Shane Van Gisbergen, your 2 Armour All pole sitters, and we're not far from going live in Sydney with Jess and the boys. What's going to be a huge night. This is the BP Ultimate Supercars All-Stars E-Series going live.